How's it going, YouTube? Hi Drax, and in today's video we're going to be doing a tier list ranking the top 10 best units in the game. As you can see, I have pulled up what I believe is the best top 10 units. Obviously we have the Future Gohan, Goku Black and Zamasu, FSK Gohan, then we have Super Vegito, Full Power Frieza, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, SSJ 4 Gogeta, Rage of Hope or Sword of Hope Trunks, and then instead of Ultra Gogeta, because on this tier list they don't have the Ultra units available and they don't have the two new androids. Doesn't seem like they've updated it yet, but in place of Ultra Gogeta we will be using the Super Gogeta because it's basically the same unit from the same period. And then we do have the Goku and Vegeta. I am using the Goku image right here, and then we have the Vegeta at the bottom somewhere around here. There he is. So yeah, we will be doing a top 10. This is what I believe it is. I do rank fairly high in PvP, usually north of top 6,000. So yeah, I do believe that in terms of usability, these units, I believe except for FSK Gohan is fallen away a little bit, but the rest of these units here are quite frequently used in PvP, and you most likely see these guys quite often. Another set of units that you usually see is going to be maybe Bardock and then the Ultra Gogeta, but I don't believe Bardock as a unit is good enough to be in the top 10. You may make an argument that he could be, but from my experience he is usually the unit that ends up going out first, unless people really want to keep his endurance alive for later on in the match, but then that's another story. But do feel free to let me know what you think the top 10 best units are in the game. This is obviously subjective and opinion based. In terms of factual experience, obviously we don't really have stats on how popular or how good the units are, but there is a definitive gap between what units are doing more damage than the other, and that's going to be our first unit. Obviously our first unit we are going to be doing is Ultra Gogeta, and he is going to be at number 1. He does have a lot in his kit that makes him really good, but the major factor is he does have a very strong unique gauge which heals him and gives him basically infinite blue cards so long as you can fill up that gauge. That in coupled with the fact that he can go through blast because he does have blast armor, and his green card nullifies cover changes, means he's obviously going to be doing a ton of damage. Let's just say that this guy has been a very big problem since he released because of Super Saiyan Bardock and the crits, but luckily thanks to the chilled we don't really see that team as often now, which is pretty good. But yeah, I do like to see Super Gogeta or Ultra Gogeta in the number 1 spot because he does have a lot in his kit that makes him good. Type neutrality, he can draw 2 ultimates, which is insane and unheard of. The only disappointing thing about him is that his ultimate is not very flashy, and considering that you see it twice, it would be nice to see it maybe a better looking ultimate, but that's just the aesthetics of the unit and not really from a tactical or usability standpoint, because he is very good and you usually see him on basically every team that he is available on. And because of the leader slot, you can see him on different teams that have no relation to this unit, such as on Regen, and maybe even on Powerful Opponent. If you don't have a blue unit, you can definitely just throw this guy on there. Okay, for our second unit, we're going to be putting Goku and Vegeta up. Well, Goku and Vegeta. Let me just put the Vegeta and Goku. Just pick up Vegeta and put him up here next to the Goku. But I would like to say that in terms of the variation between them, the Goku or the Vegeta does a lot more damage because he does come in off a switch obviously, and with card draw speed I feel the Vegeta variation of the Goku and Vegeta is better, so I will put the Vegeta first. But the unit itself is absolutely broken and honestly one of the most hated units in the community, other than Super Gogeta and Ultra Gogeta as obviously number 1 because of the crits. But this guy here is a very self-sufficient unit. He heals basically all damage as well, so long as you can get a combo off. But every card this guy uses, he's healing. He has green cards, blue cards that restore Vanish by 70%, so he's the type of unit you want to leave out on on the field and then just do as much damage as you can. Swap him out when he gets to low health, bring him back in for a combo, and he's basically back to full HP. Unfortunately, this guy is the major issue with Mono Purple, because he does switch typing to basically the Vegeta, who is basically type advantage, I would say, with the quotation marks, over yellow units, and then weak against green units, which is very scary on Mono Purple, because in terms of Mono Purple, you also have the Super Gogeta, not Super Gogeta, Super Vegito, and then you have your picks between the Future Saga Vegeta, or you have the movie saga Goku as a defensive option. But yeah, this guy makes Mono Purple possible, and he's going to be around for a very long time, which is very unfortunate, because this guy is basically game breaking, and I hope that they take this learning experience and not do a unit similar to this in future, unless it's going to be a hype celebration unit. My thoughts would probably be Frieza and Goku from the Tournament of Power, who will probably be on the same level as this guy. But yeah, these guys are very, very dangerous. We all know they're dangerous, and a large portion of the community has them at very high stars because of the triple rates and triple multi-Z power banner. So obviously they are going to be at number 2. Number 3 is definitely going to be the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Obviously, we all know he was very, very weak upon release, and when he got his buff from his Platinum equipment, the best Platinum equipment in the game, or should I say equipment in the game period, he did skyrocket in value. Obviously, he is the foremost runner against revival units right now because of his Dragon Ball manipulation, and the fact that he's also Blast Armor. I don't really understand why most of the fusions come out with Blast Armor, but a large portion of the fusion team has Blast Armor, which is very unusual, because if we look at Ultra Gogeta, Super Gogeta, you also have Vegito Blue, you have Kefla. I do believe that there is, I think that may be it actually. Well, I did see a lot more, but when looking at the units itself, a lot of the fusion team, it still remains to this day on the team, because we don't really see enough fusions where they constantly in rotation in and out. But obviously Super Saiyan 4 is the best green unit in the game right now. It may be contested that there is another best green unit, but in terms of damage and overall power, this guy is definitely going to be your number 3. I don't believe people are going to dispute this, but maybe Ultra Gogeta and the Goku and Vegeta, there is a bit of disparity between who you would put as number 1. It just depends on who you hate more or who you like more as a number 1 unit, because they do have very similar qualities in what they do. For the 4th best unit in the game, I'm going to be, I actually can't put Super Vegito there. It's got to be Frieza. Honestly, Frieza released at a weird time where his team wasn't good enough to have him basically usable on the team, so for a very long time he was just kept on the team and never used at all. But now he's in a position where he is the foremost damage dealer on his team. He's the highest damage dealer on his team. Obviously there's a lot of support coming from Village of Evil, but this guy just does a lot in terms of his kit. He has Blast Armor, he has a lot of support coming from when he reaches a certain HP level. So he does support all his allies, he heals, he has ultimate that gives back his Vanish, which is insanely strong. But the only issue that I have with this guy is that he is not on the tanky side, which is very unusual considering that this Frieza definitely was a glutton for punishment during the Frieza saga. But I guess that they went with a more damage route, because this is the end of the fight where he just forego the ability to defend himself and just went all in a all-out struggle attack against Goku. Still a wonderful unit, good cover change, and the fact that he has access to basically multiple blue cards from the Lineage of Evil team means he's going to be doing a lot of damage to the bench as well, which makes him very, very good. Obviously he was not as good in the past, but obviously now with his team actually being a proper team, he does have a lot of value in the meta because of his ability to nullify endurance, which is also a very big factor in the game right now. For our 5th unit, I am going to put Super Vegito, which is a very, very big deal for me, honestly. Super Vegito would honestly be one of the better units in the game. If you replace or remove this Goku and Vegeta, he would be the best purple unit in the game by far. He does have a lot going in his kit. Honestly, we all know how good he was on release, just shredding everything. But if you weren't here during the release period when this guy released during the 1st anniversary, he was a behemoth and a very, very dangerous unit to go up against, and it was not a fun time actually going up against him in PvP. But post Zenkai, right now, honestly, he is one of the core members of the Mono Purple team because he does buff Purple Saiyans, and he has a cover change, he heals on main ability, and he has the ability to draw cards when he swaps in, which is just a very, very big plus on his side in terms of combo ability. But he does suffer from the fact that he does fall prey to the unit above him in terms of typing, because he does take a significant amount of damage if he is not sufficiently Zenkai buffed or basically given equips that basically harden his defense. Honestly, he would have benefited from maybe a new platinum equipment coming out just specifically for him, maybe an awakened platinum equipment, but maybe in future he would, when he is beginning to fall away a little bit, they will give him that, similar to the SJ4 Gogeta right here. But let's go ahead and talk about the 6th best unit in the game, and that's going to be Sword of Hope Trunks. This guy, honestly, he got overshadowed quite significantly upon release, because obviously Goku and Vegeta were the premium and the more sought after units in terms of the celebration when they released. Obviously, there are a lot of people who like Sword of Hope Trunks. It is one of his better arcs, one of the better arcs in Dragon Ball Super, I suppose. But in terms of a unit himself, he does take a little bit of damage, or I should say a lot of damage, to actually get his unique gauge actually filled, which is very unfortunate. Considering that you do want to try and preserve him a little bit, because he does have quite a strong kit in terms of damage output, but he does have some defensive options in terms of having endurance, which honestly doesn't really mean much these days, because every unit above here nullifies endurance in some factor or form, which is very unfortunate, because if they gave him maybe a revival, he would probably see a lot more play. But then they did have to basically be very careful how they designed this unit, because of the future Gohan and then the revival Gohan both having 2 lives as it is, and we all know how atrocious and very, very annoying the hybrid Saiyan meta was with the FSK future Gohan and then the revival Gohan. But this guy does a lot of good things. He heals, he does have a ultimate that goes type neutral when he basically loses a battle member, but he is restricted to basically 2 teams to activate a large portion of his kit, which is basically Future or Vegeta family. Obviously that's not really much of an issue if you want to run them with, alongside the Goku and Vegeta, and maybe another top 10 unit like the Zamasu here, but obviously he does fall victim to having to have those specific tags on his team to have the endurance. But he does have a lot of good qualities that make up for it in terms of damage, cover changing, and obviously his hand reload. For the 7th best unit, I'm going to go with the Goku Black and Zamasu. Another, well, a lot of people may find this controversial, but I believe that these guys are the 2nd best green units in the game, purely because their ability to tank is bar none one of the best tanking abilities in the game. Apart from the Mono Purple setup, which honestly they cover for the Vegeta variant who's weak against green units, they don't really take much damage outside of a few purple units in the game. And even if they do, when they swap out, they heal their teammates, I think it's 4 times or so, and they provide damage, I believe, in terms of their kit. They do have the ability to steal vanish once upon activating a green card. The main ability just makes them really, really strong. And then they have some very, very good abilities in terms of longevity and running through the match. Honestly, this is the worthy successor to the Vados that was the foremost green unit on the Godki team. But right now, they are one of the better units in the game. You don't see them as often because people are going to be running a lot of the high units on the list right here. Yeah, he is going to be, or they are going to be at number 7 for me because of the triple rates banner. You do see a lot of them at 14 stars because a lot of people did go in quite a bit for them trying to hunt for Sword of Hope Trunks. So they are quite available to people and they are quite good in terms of tanking. Damage wise they can get pretty good, but their main value is going to be tanking for me. For number 8, number 8 is going to be the future Gohan. He's obviously not going to be a unit that you have as a damage dealer per se, unless you're running up against mono purple. But in terms of disrupting your opponent, this guy is bar none one of the best units in the game, if not the best unit. His ability to seal cards is I don't think it's unrivaled. It's one of the most annoying things in the game, and it's one of the things he does very well. He kills cards upon cover change. His green card, I believe, seals blue cards and green cards, or is it strike cards? I don't even know, because every time a person uses this guy, your cards just get sealed up. But I do know for a fact on his main ability he does seal cards. I'm not entirely sure which type. I think it may be strike or something. But his ability to seal cards, he has endurance, but more of the disruption ability comes from the fact that he kills cards on a cover change, and the fact that his cover change is kind of a stun lock if you don't know how to get out of it, because if you cover change with a blast card into this guy, you cannot chain it in a sense that if you kill your cards, you can't like activate a Rising Rush, or you can't activate your main ability. You basically get stun locked for a few seconds, and that allows this guy to combo quite fiercely, because he does restore Vanish on every strike card that he uses, so he does have the ability to sit out in the match for a very long time. Okay, the last 2 units. At number 9, I got Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Obviously, there are a lot of units in the game, but I feel like Super Saiyan 3 Goku is still one of the better green units. Obviously, if you're looking at a Saiyan team, this guy is obviously going to be on that team because of the Zenkai buff and his Z ability giving defenses. This guy has not fallen off too badly, in my opinion. Obviously, Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta does have preference over him because of the blast armor and what he does in terms of damage. But this Super Saiyan 3 Goku is no slouch either, and given the chance, he will destroy a lot of the units in the game. A lot of the units up here can fall prey and victim to his ultimate move, which is a very, very large nuke, and is very, very difficult to basically get around in terms of typing, because he does go neutral. He has a counter on his green card, which honestly would have been a lot more broken if he nullified cover changes when he did that, but maybe leaving him at this level is perfectly fine. But honestly though, Super Saiyan 3 is a lot better than a lot of the units in the game, even though he does not see a lot of playtime these days on account of Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. And for the final unit, we're going to put FSK at number 10. There is a debate whether or not you can put this guy high up on the list, but as of right now, this guy is completely obliterated from the meta PvP and a lot of teams, honestly. Obviously, Super Gogeta or Ultra Gogeta has a lot to answer for, because it's because of him specifically that you don't really see these guys, and the fact that Super Saiyans is a lot of the time blue, blue, purple. You bringing a red unit and getting critted is not going to work very well. That and the fact that this guy's last man standing buffs can be nullified by basically a large majority of the units, such as the Super Saiyan 4, I believe Vegito here, Ultra Gogeta. A lot of the units here can nullify his basically most damaging portion of his unique ability, but he does have some value in the fact that he is one of the better red units in the game. It is unfortunate though that there are not many red units that are on his level, but I believe it is time that we retire this guy, because he is still pretty good, but his team in itself is completely outclassed, because obviously they were a major problem and they released a lot of units to deal with that. But anyways guys, let me know what you think. Honestly, they could be any units on this top 10. They could be the Bardock, they could be Broly, definitely not Cell though. Evolution Blue, we could have Majub, who's honestly a very good support unit who I was almost going to put on this list. But FSK does have some good qualities left in him, even though he's basically been relegated to sitting on the bench in terms of his team. But anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. My name is Hydrax. I'll catch you in the next one.